Hi, my name is Kaitlyn Tisdale and I am the Director of Education and Family Programs at Historic Locust Grove. Today we will be teaching you how to make your own ink. So before we had our ink pens where the ink is already inside ready for us to use, our colonials used to use their steel nib pens. Before that they would even use quills. So today I'm going to show you how we take our regular blackberries you can pick up at the grocery store, mix it with a little bit of salt and vinegar, and make your own ink. So first I'm going to put on an apron because, as ink will do, it will stain. So be sure to take very good care of any clothing that you're going to be wearing during this process. So I'll tie on my apron here. I also have a pair of plastic gloves because this is a very messy process as well. So if you don't have gloves, you don't need to worry about it, but you will have some stained hands for a few hours at least. One thing I also did before starting this is I washed my hands. That's something else that's very important right now, not only for hygiene, but also because you want to make sure that you have good, clean ink that you're working with. So first, what we're going to do is we're going to take one or two containers of berries here, and we're going to empty it into a very fine mesh strainer. So on the sheet that's attached to this video, it has your ingredients list and your supplies list. So you're going to put your berries directly into that mesh strainer, and you're going to start mashing them in. So this takes a little bit of time. Especially if your berries are very cold, it's going to take some time to get these mashed. Something else that's also very helpful to use is just to go ahead and use the bottom of your measuring cup here, and that will help start mashing those berries in. So you can already see some of that juice is coming off. One other tip that you could do if you wanted to, you can also heat these berries up on the stove top first, and that will help release even more of those juices. But you can see it's already starting to get into the bottom of that glass bowl underneath my strainer. So now we've already got some juice. Let's go ahead and add some more berries here. And keep in mind, even just 2 ounces of this ink will last you a very long time. So you don't need to worry about making a very large amount. Ink makers in the 17th, 18th, and 19th century would make large batches because they were selling this ink to their patrons, people visiting their businesses. But we're just doing this for an at-home project. So we're just going to keep squishing. This is also a great way you can use the leftover berries. I know a lot of people, if you want to use the leftovers, you can make jam, you can make cobblers, you can do anything you want with it, really. We're all about reuse and recycling here. We're going to add a few more. And you can see this just gets even messier as we keep adding and we keep mushing. It's a messy process. So parents, I advise you not to use stuff that you're greatly attached to. Alright, so you see we have lots of berries here, and I'm just going to use my hands to keep squeezing some of that juice down into that container because it will get caught in some of the seeds. Alright, I think that's plenty. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the gloves off. We're going to move these over to the sink for right now. And now you're going to see just got it on my forehead. Now you're going to see what we do with this juice once we're done with it. So you'll see it is very thick. And that's okay. You don't want your ink to be too runny. So what we're going to do now is we're going to add some salt and some vinegar. You don't need a large amount of this stuff, especially when you're not working with a huge amount of juice. So I'm going to add half a teaspoon of salt, and this acts as our preservative. So all of the ingredients here are organic, so this ink could mold over time. So the salt is going to help act as a preservative to prevent that from molding. The berry juice, of course, acts as our color agent, so that's going to help the ink stay on the page and show on the page. And the vinegar here is going to act as our binder. So that's going to bind the ink to the page and prevent it from fading away very quickly. So there are historic documents that have berry ink that have survived hundreds of years. That's because of vinegar. So I'm only going to add half a teaspoon of this. You don't need a whole lot. We're going to add that into the bowl. And what we're going to do is we're just going to stir all of these ingredients in. And you can see that's a nice dark ink right there. So I have a baby jar handy. Baby food jars are great little ink wells when you're ready to use them. So all we're going to do is pour directly into that jar. And look at all that ink we've just made. So I'm going to put this right in the sink there, because remember, this will stain. That's why we wear our apron. That's why we wear our gloves. And so now what you're going to see is this nice dark ink, and it's going to go right into that pen.